Are you tired of building keyword-based traditional search engines? What if you could just describe what you want in your own words and you get the search results? In this video, we are going to build a fully functional, full-stack AI-based semantic search engine that will allow our users to have a conversational search for the products that they need. We will be using Next.js 15 for our front-end app and to create the search API route. Then we will use the sentence transformer model from Hugging Face to generate the vector embeddings for our products. After that, we will use Pinecone, a high performance vector database, to store our embeddings. And lastly, we will deploy our semantic search app on the Vercel so that you can add the link to your portfolio. So, if this sounds interesting, then stick around. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel or press the bell icon so that you don't miss the videos like this one. So let's get started. Alright guys, so I have already bootstrapped my Next.js project, and if you want to bootstrap the Next.js project, you can simply use npx create next app @latest and you can give your project name. My project name is Next Semantic Search, and I'm also using a Tailwind CSS. I will give you a quickly walkthrough of the project. So this is the config file which we get in our Next.js project. Then we are going to have our package.json file, all the dependencies and the script. Then we have the next config, which we will be adding all the configurations that we need for our Next.js. After that, you will have this source folder, and inside the source folder, I have a data folder, and in this I have the products.json. So if I click on it, then you will see that I have 8 products here, and these products have all the details like the ID, name, description, price, and everything, even the image. Now we are going to use this data set to train our model to get the vector embeddings. So we will not be using any database. Instead of that, we will be having a JSON file where we will have our data. All right. Then we have a standard layout file, which is the layout of our page. And then we have the page.tsx, which is the default project that we get. Now I'm running my application on the local server. So if I go to the browser, then this is what our next step looks like. Now what we need to do is before we just start building our project, we need to understand few things, that what we are actually going to build and how we will be building that. So let's go here, and I want to show you something here. First, we need to understand what is vector embedding. So now you can just imagine that you have a bunch of words, pictures, or even songs, and you want a computer understand their meaning or relationships, but computers only understand the numbers. So what we do is we are going to convert these things into list of numbers, and we call them as vectors, and in such a way that it preserves their meaning, and this is called vector embedding. Now let me show you a simple diagram which will define how this embedding looks like. So here now you will see that we have this a 3D space. This is very simplified version. I'm just doing it for the visualization purpose, and you have x, y, and z axis here. Now you have a word like king, queen. They have a relationship between them as compared to men and women. So this king is now converted into a kind of a list of numbers, which we called it as a vector. So this is a vector for the king. Similarly, this is a vector for the queen, and then this is the vector for the man and woman. Now to convert a text into a vector embedding, you need a model where you will pass your data and you will train the model, and then the model is going to give you the vector embedding. And for that thing, what we are going to use is we are going to use Hugging Face. So Hugging Face, it's a platform where you have a different kind of models, and you can use any of the model for your different purposes. Now for our case, we wanted to do a semantic search. So in that case, what I will do is let's go to the models, and in the models we can search for the model that we are using. So I am using the sentence transformer. So this is the model that we will be using, and what is the purpose of this model is that this is a sentence transformer model, and it maps sentences and paragraphs to a 384 dimension dense vector space, and can be used for tasks like clustering or semantic search. So our use case is the semantic search, and basically we are going to pass the text to this model or the data to this model, and this model is going to map those sentences and the paragraph to a 384 dimensional dense vector space, and this usually will be used for our semantic search. Now since you can transform the text into the vector embeddings, now you need some kind of a database where you can store these vector embeddings. So for that purpose, we will be using the Pinecone, And this Pinecone, it's a vector database where you can just store the vectors in it. So you can just go through this Pinecone documentation, and here we will be building our index where we'll be storing our vector embeddings for the products that we have. Now how this flow will work is, if we go back here, so before going to this flow, we need to understand that how we are going to generate the vector embeddings, and we will be storing them in the Pinecone. So for that, we go here. So we are going to create a script, and what the script will do is we are going to pass our data set, that is our products JSON, to the Hugging Face with the model that we have seen it here. This is the model that we will be using. Now once we pass the data to that model, what this model is going to do is it is going to generate the vector embeddings, and it is going to return us the vector embeddings. So you're returning us a embeddings, which is a 384 dimension vector. Now once we have those embeddings, we are going to make a call, an upsert method, which is offered by the Pinecone. Now this method is going to accept the embeddings that we have generated plus the metadata, which is our actual product. We will be storing them in the Pinecone index, and once it is confirmed, that means our products have their vector embeddings and it is being stored in the vector database. Now how this vector embeddings will look like is, if we go here, then here you see that this is a simple object, and this simple object is our product, a singular product. Now when we store this product into the Pinecone database, how we will do is we need a vector plus we need a metadata, and this is how it is mapped. So here you will see that you have the ID, which is the same as your product, and the values, and these values are basically the vector embeddings for this product. And then we have the metadata, and inside the metadata we are going to just put all the values of our product. All right, so this is the before and this is the after. Now once you have this upsert where you do the vectors plus the metadata and you store it in the Pinecone database, that means you have created all the vector embeddings of our products and we have stored them. Now the next part of this will be to make a search on our Next.js app and see that we can get a meaningful results or not. So that's where this is the data flow diagram looks like, where you will be having a client, which is our Next.js application, where we will have our search bar. We are going to search for the shoes. So let's say my query is running shoes. Now here you need to understand a difference between a traditional search and a semantic search. In a traditional search, you will search for Adidas shoes, and that is going to give you all the products related to the Adidas. Now in this case, we are not specifying any brand name or anything. We are just doing, I need a comfortable running shoes. Now once you have the query, our API is going to call the Hugging Face again to get a vector embedding of this running shoes. Now after using this vector embeddings, what we will do is we are going to query Pinecone index with this vector, and then Pinecone index will give us the top 20 results which are more semantic or have a more meaningful relationship between the product and the vector that we have. And that's how we will take the results and we format the results, we display the results to the client. Now since we understand the complete architecture of this project, what we can do is we can just start building our project. So we can just start with the script part first, where we can have our data and we can just feed the data into the Pinecone database. Now let's go to the Visual Studio Code and start working on that. Alright, so now the first thing we need to do is we need to install all the dependencies that we will need for this project. So what dependencies we will need is, let me just do a copy paste of the dependencies that we will need. So I'm going to go here and this is what we need. So we will be having the npm install react icons. We need the React icons for our search bar. Then we will need the .env package, and this .env package we need it is because we will be having a script file. So in order to read the variables from the .env file in the script, we will need the .env package. Then we have the Hugging Face inference, and we have the Pinecone database that we will need. All right, I'm going to hit enter, and this is going to install all the dependencies that we need. I have few more dependencies that are related to the dev dependencies which we will install. So we will be having TSX to execute the TypeScript in Node.js. Then we will have the type nodes and type.env. All right, I'm going to hit enter, and that is going to install all the dependencies related to that. Now if I go to the package.json file, we can just go and check. So we have the Hugging Face inference, we have the Pinecone database .env, and we have the types for .env and node. Now what I will do is I'm going to go to the app, and inside the app I'm going to create a folder which will be the lib. So in the library folder, what I will do is I'm going to have my pinecone.ts, which is going to get some configuration of the Pinecone. So here what we will do is we are going to have the export constant, and we will have the Pinecone client. So let me have the Pinecone client. This is going to be an arrow function, and this is going to return a Pinecone instance. So we will have the new Pinecone, and here what you need to pass is you need to pass the API key. Now the question is how to get the API key. So let's check that. So I will have the Pinecone underscore API key. All right. So we have this one. We'll have this exclamation so that we don't get this error. All right. Now we need to get this API key. So for that, what you will need to do is you can go to the Pinecone. You can go and do a login. So I already have a session, so I can log in, and you can just click on the API keys. And from this, you can get the API key. You can create your one and just take that one. So I will go and I will just copy the API key into my .env file. So let me go here and I'm going to create my .env file. So I will have the .env.local, and in this I will just take the key here. So I'm going to put the key and I'm going to add my key. But apart from that, we will need more additional keys. So one will be this one. Next, what I need is Pinecone index. So I will have my index name. I will show you what the index is in some time. After that, we will have the embedding models. So I will have the embedding underscore model, and the name of a model is, we can just pick it from here. So if I go here, then this is the name of our model. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to put it here. All right. And then we will need the Hugging Face token. So let me have the Hugging Face token. And for the Hugging Face token, what you can do is you can go to the Hugging Face, and if I go here, then you can just click on the access tokens. Now here you will see that I have an access token which I can just use it. All right. So that's how you can create your access token. Now if I go back here, then I'm going to put my API key. I'm going to put my Hugging Face token. I will also need the Pinecone index. So let's go and let's create the Pinecone index. So I will go here in the Pinecone, and here you can just click on here the create index. So I'm going to click on create index. So here I will have the semantic search, and then what I will do is for the configuration, since what model you are using, maybe you are using an OpenAI text embedding model, then you can just select it. For me, I will just do a custom setting here, the manual configuration. I will keep it as dense, and here I will keep it as cosine. What here I will do is I will have the dimension as 384, because this is what the dimension I'm using. So if I go here and if I go for the models, if I search for the sentence, then here you will see that this model is a 384 dimension model. So I'm going to go and check for the dimension. Then here you will see that 384. So this is what the dimension I'm going to use it here. All right. I will keep it as serverless, and I will go with the default settings. I will just click on the create index, and my index is created. Now this is my index name. So what I will do is I'm going to copy and I will use this index in my environment files. All right. And you can have your API key and you can have your HF token. So I will just put the API key and HF token. All right. So now I have my environment variables ready. We can just continue with our Pinecone client. So I will go back here. And here what we have to do is, in order to get the values here from the env, we need to use the .env package. So what I will do is I will have the import. I will import the config, and this config will come from the .env. So I will have the .env, and I will also import the path. We're going to have the path from path. And now what we need to do is we need to give the path of our .env.local to this file, so that it will be able to access the Pinecone API key. And we are doing this because we are going to use this client into a script file and not in our Next.js build. So that's why we need it. So what I will do here is I'm going to have the config, and inside the config we need to have our path. All right. And we are going to have the path dot resolve, and let's give the dir name. So we have our directory name, and from the directory we are going to have dot dot slash. Then we will go to the lib folder, then we will have dot dot slash dot dot slash. Then we are going to have our dot env dot local file. So this is how you get the values from the environment variables in your TypeScript file. So now we have this. Let's go and let's create the script. So what I will do is I'm going to create. So I will just minimize this for now, and I will go to the app, create a new folder, and I'm going to have my script here. And here I'm going to create a file which will be seed pinecone.ts. All right. So here what I will do is let's create a constant. So I will have the seed pinecone, and this is going to be an arrow function. All right. And this is going to be an async function. So I will have the async here. Okay. And I will also copy these 3 lines. So we will have to use them again. So I will just copy and paste. So I will have this one. I will just remove this. We don't need that one. Okay. so that now the environment variables can be accessed in this file as well. Now here what I will do is, first let's have a try catch block. So I'm going to have a try catch block, and in the try block let's initialize our client. So I will have the initialize clients, and the first one will be our let's have the index name first. So I will have the index name, and our index name will be process.env.pinecone underscore index underscore name. Okay, so this is how we are going to get the index, and if there is no, then we are just going to keep it as an empty string. All right, next we are going to have our pinecone. So let me have the pinecone, and this is going to equals to the get pinecone client that we have created here. So we get the client as well. Let's give the pinecone the index name. So I'm going to have the pinecone dot index, and we are going to pass our index name here. So we have done with our pinecone stuff, and then we are going to have the hugging face inference. So I'm going to have the new inference client, and here we need to give the access token. So I will have the process dot env hf underscore token. So this was the first part where we have done the initialization of our clients. Now what we will do is we are going to prepare the batch that we want to get the embeddings. Let's have a prepare batch embeddings. So we are preparing this batch embeddings, and this is because we want to do at a time maybe 10 products or 15 products, and this actually helps us to avoid the API rate limiting. So what I will do is we are just going to prepare for the 10 batches at once. So we are going to have the batch size, and this is going to be equal to 10. Yeah, so instead of making a single API request, which is a very big and you have a lot of products, it's better to make it in a batch. So we're going to have a batch of 10. So let's have the for loop, and then we just prepare our batches. So I'm going to have the let I equals to 0, I will be less than, we're going to have the products. So let's have the products. So I'm going to import them. I will go here and I will have the import products from dot slash, we are going to go to the data slash, we are going to go to the product JSON. So we're going to take this products length. So I will have the products dot length, and then I'm going to have the I plus equals to the batch size we have. So we are going to have the batch size. All right, after that what we are going to do is we are going to create a constant of batch. So let me have a constant batch, and this is going to equals to the, let's have the products dot slice, and we will start with the I, which is 0, and then we'll go up to the batch size. So I'm going to have our batch size. So this is our batch, and then what we will do is let's do generate embeddings. So I'm going to have the next step will be to generate embeddings, and let me have the constant as an embedding, and this is going to equals to the await, and we are going to make call to the hugging face which exposes a method which is the feature extraction, and we also see a feature extraction here. So if I go here, then we see we have the feature extraction. So we are going to make an API call on this one. So I'm going to go back here, hf dot I'm going to have the feature extraction, and this feature extraction we're going to pass the model that we are going to use. So our model is the process dot env dot embedding model. So I'm going to have the embedding model here, and then the text. So our inputs will be, so I will have the batch dot map on it, and on the map what I will do is we are going to get the individual product, and we are going to generate the embeddings for the product name plus the description. So we are going to have the p dot name, and we are going to have the, oops, this should be $ p dot description, and we need a embedding for these only. For an individual product, we need an embedding for the product name and product description, like this. So this is going to give us the embeddings for all the products. So we are going to have a batch size of 10. So initially it will go for take the 10 products and get the embeddings of those 10 products. Now once we get the embeddings, the next step is to do the upsert. So we have done this post call, we have got the embeddings. Now we need to do an upsert with the vectors and the metadata of that. So we are going to go here, and I'm going to have the prepare upsert request. So let's prepare that request, and I'm going to have a constant upsert request which will be equals to the batch dot map, and when we do a map on it, we are going to get the product and we're going to get the index of that product. All right, then I'm going to have the arrow function, and here what we need to do is we need to always understand that this upsert is always accepting a value as numbers. So what I will do is I'm going to have my ID, which will be the product ID. So let's have the product dot ID, id. After that, it is going to contain the values. So let me have the values. Then we are going to have the metadata. So let me have the metadata, and in the metadata what we are going to do is we are going to take the products. So let me have the product, and apart from the product we are going to have the colors and the features. So if I go here and if I show you, then what we have the id of the product, we will have the values, and in the meta we are going to have our product, and we have the colors and the features. So colors and the features, it's a kind of an array. So what we will do is we are just going to merge them with a pipe symbol like this. So I'm going to go here, and for colors what I will do is I'm going to take the product dot colors, and I'm going to join them with the pipe. So I will have the join them with the pipe symbol. All right, similarly I will do the same thing for features, and in the features also I'm going to just do a copy paste. So I will copy and I will put it here, and instead of this it will be features. Okay, now the next thing is here we need to do the values. So if you go and see here, the values are always a numbers. All right, so we need to make sure that these values are always numbers. So what I will do is I'm going to have array dot is array, and I'm going to take the embeddings with the index. So I will have the embeddings, and I will just take the index of it. All right, now if this is a true, then what we have to do is we are going to have the something. If it's false, then we are going to have the something. Now if this is false, then what we will do is we are just going to take that one. All right, and we are converted as a number. So I'm going to have it as a number. But if this is not the case, then in that case what we will do is we are going to take this, and we are going to use the flat, and then what we will do is we are going to have the infinity, and we will just cast this as number again. So I will have the number array. All right, and then in the end what we will do is we are just going to put a comma. So we made a mistake here. This will not come like this. So I will just explain you what is this value always contain a number. Now here we need to make sure that the values will always have a number array. So here you see that it's always a number array. So now we have this upsert function which will be working, and now in the end what we need to do is we will have the await, and we are going to pass this in the index. So I will have the index dot upsert. So we do an upsert, and let's pass this upsert request. So we're going to have the upsert request. Okay, and after that what we can do is we can have a console log. So I will have a console dot log, and in this console log we can have the processed batch, and we can have the value. So I will have the I batch size and +1. So this is done. What we will do is I'm going to come here. I will have the console.log, and I will simply log that successfully seeded Pinecone DB. All right, now if we get some error, then in that case what we will do is we're going to have the console error, and we will have the error seeding Pinecone, and then we will just have the error here. All right, and then you will just exit the process. So I will have the process exit. All right, now if we go over it, then we see that there is an issue. So maybe in the metadata this should be a product. So now we have done this. What we can do is we can give a try, and we can just seed our data first. So what we can do is we can just call this function. So in the end we will come here, and we are going to have a seed pinecone function call. So now we have this one. Now let's see how we can seed our data. So this is our data. If we go inside this is our data. We want this data to be seeded into our vector database, which is this Pinecone database. So in order to execute that, what you can do is you can go to that script. So I will have the cd source, I will have the app, I will have the script, and in this script what I can do is I can have the tsx, I can have the seed pinecone.ts, and I can hit enter, and let's see if we get any errors or not. So I will hit enter, and we see that we get an error. Okay, so this is tsx. So before that we need to provide an npx, because we need to execute tsx, and we are going to have the seed pinecone.ts, and I'm going to hit enter, and let's wait. So we see that we get a .env, we get auto selected hf interface, we have the process batch 1, we have successfully seeded the Pinecone DB. Okay, so this script has been executed successfully. Now we can go and check in our Pinecone DB. So if I go here, then here you will see that now we get the datas here. So if I see, then you will get the data, you have the ID and all the information. And apart from that, you also have this score, which is the actual vector embedding of that product. So you will see we have everything here. All right. So the first part is done, which was this one. If we go back to our this one, then what we have done so far is we have done this one. We have the script, we have seeded our database, and we have the vector embeddings for all the products like this into our Pinecone DB. The next step is what we need to do is now we need to create a client, and on that client we need to create a API where you can just have a search bar and you can just post a query on it, and we make an API call. So let's go and let's do that. First we will build the API itself. So I'm going to go back here. Now in this, first we need to make an API. So what we will do is I'm going to go to the app. I'm going to create a new folder which will be API. And inside the API, if we want to create a API in Next.js, we will have a route.ts. All right. Now, before having a route.ts, what I will do is I'm going to have another folder which will be a search, and I will take it inside that. So I will have a move. So we have the API search and route.ts. All right. So I will have the export. I will have the constant, and we are going to create a post API, and this is going to take a request, and we're going to have a request here. All right. This is going to be an arrow function, and we're going to make it as an async. Okay. So we have this as async. Now what we will do is we are going to have a try catch block, and in the try block, what we will have is we are going to have the Hugging Face client first. So I'm going to have the href. This is going to have a new Inference client, and we are going to have the process.env.hf underscore token. Okay, we have the initialization of the client. Then we are going to take the query that we have added into our request. So what I will do is I'm going to have the await. I will have the request JSON. Okay, so we get the query. After getting the query, we need to generate the embedding for this query. So generate embedding, we can just copy paste the code. So I'm going to come here and we will have a very similar. So I'm going to copy, I will go back here and I'm going to have it here like this. Okay, so to generate the embeddings, we are going to have the I'm going to change this to response, and this is going to be HF feature extraction. Model will be the same, and instead of this, the input will be the simple query that we have received from the client. Once we get that, what we need to do next is we need to convert this response. So we need to normalize this response because this response is not what we want, directly cannot be used. So for that, what we will do is we are going to have a convert response to flat number array. So maybe if you are using some other model or a platform, like you are using an OpenAI or you are using something else, in that case the response can vary. So you can get a response in a different way, but what we need to do is, since Pinecone will accept it in a flat number array, so we need to convert the response into a flat number array. So I'm going to create a constant. I will have a normalize embedding, which is going to accept an embedding of unknown. So we will have a unknown here. Okay, and what we need is we need a number array. So I'm going to have a number array, and let's have the arrow function. Now what we are going to do is we are going to do a different checks, that if type of embedding that we have received, if this is triple equals to number. So if what we have received is already a number, then we will just return that embedding. So I'm going to have a return the embedding array. All right, because it's already a number. But if that is not a case, what we are going to do is we are going to have the array dot is array. We are going to pass the embedding, and we are going to have the flat number array. So I'm going to have the return embedding dot flat map. We are going to get the item, and then we are going to have the array dot is array item. If this is true, we are going to return this item, and if this is false, we are going to return it in a number array. All right, and after that, what we will do is we're going to have a dot map of it, and in dot map we are going to have a number array. So we have done this one, and what next we will do is if there's some issue, we are going to throw an error. So I'm going to have a throw new error, and we're going to have a invalid embedding format. All right, so there could be an invalid embedding format which we are not able to handle, so we are just going to throw that error. So that's how we just simply do a normalize, because we know that what exactly embedding we want to pass it to our Pinecone DB. So that's why we need to do that. Now the next what we will do is we're going to have a get properly formatted embedding. Okay, and we can have a constant embedding, and this is going to be equals to we are going to use our function normalize embedding, and we're going to pass the response. All right, and this embedding is basically the vectors that we need. Okay, once we have this vector, now we need to query the Pinecone DB. So I'm going to have a query Pinecone DB. Now to query Pinecone DB, first we need to get the Pinecone index and everything. So what I will do is I will just do a copy paste. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to copy this. I will go here in the route and I'm going to paste it here. Now here we need to have this get Pinecone client and we have everything. Okay, now after that what we will do is I'm going to have a constant. I will have the results that we are going to get after matching the vectors. So I will have the Pinecone dot index. We are going to pass the index name, and then we are going to have a query here, and this query can be an object. And in this object, what first we need is, so we need to pass the vector that we want to match. So this is going to be embedding as number array. After that we need at how many top products that we need. So we are going to have a 10 here, and then we're going to have on that we need to include the metadata field as well. So why we are including the metadata field is, when we include the metadata field, we are going to exactly get the metadata that we have stored. So if I go here and if I show you the metadata part, so this was the metadata part, which is actually the product that we have stored. So that's why we need the metadata. So I'm having an include here as true. Now once we get this, we need to format the results and we need to display the products on the screen. So I'm going to have a products, and this is going to equals to, we are going to have the results dot matches dot map. Let's apply a map on those one, and if it's match, then what we will do is we are going to have an arrow function, and here we are going to have this dot dot dot. Let's split them. So I'm going to have the match dot metadata. Okay, and then we need to restore back our colors and the features because we have joined them. So let's restore them. So I will have the colors, and for the colors I'm going to have this type of we're going to have the match dot metadata colors. Then what we need to is, if this is a string and if it's true, then in that case we need to have the match metadata dot colors, and let's split that. So I'm going to have the split, and we need to split with the pipe because we have joined them with the pipe. Okay, but if this is not the case, then we're going to have an empty array. So we get this error. So if this is there, then we will have this one. The same thing we need to do for the features. So I'm going to copy and paste. So I'm here, it will be features, and here it will be features again. So I'm going to copy features. Alright, so we get our products back. Now once we get the products back, this is what the response we want to give back from this API. So I'm going to have a return, and we are going to return the next response dot JSON. Okay, and we're going to have the products here. Now we can just do a catch case. So if I have a console dot error, then we're going to have a search error, and we're going to have the error here. All right, so I've just removed this, and what we can do is we can just give a error response. So I will have a return next response dot JSON, and in this we are going to first have the error message. So I'm going to have the internal server error, and you can just give the status. So I will have the status and status as 500. All right, so this is what our API looks like. We have a generate embeddings first for our query, then we do the normalization of our response so that we can get a proper embedding as a number format, and after that we just connect to the Pinecone DB and query that with the vector that we have, and then we will just need the top 10 records, and we need the metadata as well. Once we get results from the Pinecone DB, we are going to format that result and get our products back, and this API is going to return the relevant or the products that are more matching with our queries. All right, so this part is also done. The next thing what we will do is we need to have a client, the search UI, where you can exactly search. So if I go back here and if we go and check here, then what we have the Pinecone DB done, we have the Hugging Face which is done, we have the API which is done. We just need the client where we can do the query and we can get the results. So let's do that one. So I'm going to go back here. We will go to our page. So I'm going to minimize all this, and we will go to the page, and in the page what I will do is I'm going to remove everything. So I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to remove this. All right, I will also remove this div. Okay, and here we are going to write our JSX. All right, so what I will do is here the JSX is anyway not the focus part of our this project, because this was more focusing on the embeddings and how we do that. So I will just quickly do a copy paste here so that I can just go through it. So I'm going to copy and paste the JSX part here. So here what we have is we are using some Tailwind CSS classes. We have a search products. We are having an aside where we are going to create a search filter, and we have a suspense. So let me type here suspense so that we don't get it. We are having two custom components. One is the search filter, another one is the product grid. So let's create them. So I'm going to go to the app, I'm going to go here, and I will have the components, and inside the components the first one I need is search filter. So what I will do is I'm going to go here, I will have the search, this will be uppercase, search filter dot tsx. Here I will simply have the RSC to get the search filter. Now what I can do is I can go here, I can have the search filter. The next one is product grid. So I can do the same thing. I can go create a new file which will be product grid dot tsx. Okay, I will go here, I will have the RSC. I can go and now get it. So I will have the product grid. So our home page is ready. Now we need to create the search filter and the product grid components. So first let's start working on the search filter. So I'm going to go to my, so I'm going to close this, close this, close this, and close this. I will go to the search filter. All right, now in the search filter, since it's a client component, so I will have the use client here. And then what I can do is I will have to take the, I will first need to create a JSX. So I'm going to go here and let's have a JSX. So I'm going to just do a copy paste of the JSX part. So I will copy and put a JSX here. Okay. Now we have this JSX. Now let's import this first. So I will have the IOIOS search so that I can have my icon here. All right. It's coming from the React icons. And what we have is we have a form. Inside the form, we have a div. We give a name as q, which will be a query. It's a type of text. We have a placeholder, which is the search for products, and a random comfortable shoes. Then we have the class name for our input so that it looks a little bit nice. Now here what I will do is we need to write this handle search. So I'm going to have a constant. I will have the handle search, which is going to be having an event, and this event will be type of React form event. This is going to be an arrow function. We will first have the event.prevent default so that the page doesn't get refreshed whenever we hit the enter. And let's get the data. So I will have the form data, which is equals to the new form data. Now this form data is event dot current target, and we're going to have it as a HTML form element. All right, so that's how we get the form data. Now once we get the form data, what we will do is we are going to create a query. So this is going to be a query which is equals to the form data, and we can get the value with the this one because q is the name that we have used for the input. So we get it like this dot, we're going to create it to the to string, and then we are going to just trim. Okay, so we get the query here. Now once we get the query, what we need to do is we need to push this query into our URL. So to push that, what we will do is we need to make use of a router. So I will have a constant router, and this is going to equals to the use router. Okay, this use router should come from the next. So I will have the next navigation. Now what we can do is we can just add this query to the URL. So if we have a query, then in that case we are going to have the router dot push, and what we will push is we are going to have the query as slash question mark q, which is the query, and this is going to equals to the value. So we are going to have the encoded URI component, and let's put the query here. So we have this part here. Now let's go and let's check. So I will do, let's see, my local is running. Yes, it's running. So let's go into the browser and check. So if I go to the browser and if I go and refresh, now you can see that this is how the search bar looks like. Now what we need is we need to search something, and when we hit enter, we need to make an API call, and when we make an API call, we need to fetch the data and we need to display that data. So okay, let me first show you that if I type here running shoes and if I hit enter, then here you will see that you have this query here running, and this is a URL encoder. So we have this encoded space bar, and then we have shoes here. Now we need to take this shoes and give it to our API, which is the search API we have created. And once we give them, then that search API, if I go here, we will have this query which is running shoes. We will give it to our API. That API is going to give it to the Hugging Face to get the vector embedding. Once we get the vector, we are going to pass the vector to a Pinecone index, and once we query it, we are going to get the top 20 results, and then we format the results and display it on the client. So let's do that one. So I'm going to go here and we need to have this product grid. Okay, so in the product grid, what we will do is we are going to create a constant first state variable for products. So I'm going to have the products and we are going to have the set products. This is going to equals to the use state, and this will be of type product, and it could be a product array, and initial value would be an empty array. So now what we need to do is we need to create this product type. So let's go and let's create that. So I'm going to go to the app. I'm going to create a new folder which will be types, and inside that I'm going to create a new file which will be index.ts. Now here I'm going to have the export type product, and we can just create, I will just do a copy paste of the properties. So I will have this properties as like this. Okay, and here there will be an equal to sign. Okay, so we have the products. Now we can just use this product into our product grid. So I'm going to come here and I will have the product. The next state variable which I want is my loadings. So I will have the loading, then we are going to have the set loading, and this is going to be equals to the use state, and the initial value will be false. Then we need to get the query text. So I'm going to have a constant and I will have the search params, and this is going to be equals to the use search param, and I'm going to have that query here. I can also do a console log so that I can see what value I'm getting in this search param. So I will have the search params here are, so this should be here are, and I'm going to have the search params dot get and get q. Okay, so this is going to give me the value of whatever I'm typing it in my input bar. Then we're going to use the use effect so that we can make an API call. So I'm going to have a use effect and I will have the fetch products, which is going to be an arrow function, and this is going to be an async. After this arrow function, we need to make a call on this arrow function. So what I will do is I'm going to have the fetch products, and we fetch the products only when there is a change in the search param. So we will have a change in the search param. So whenever you change the query, it is going to again fetch the products. Okay, now in this, let's have a try catch block, and in the try block, what I will do is I'm going to have the set loading as true. After that, what we will do is we are going to get the query which is equals to the search params dot get, and the key is q. Okay, we get the query here. After getting the query, let's have a API call. So I'm going to have a response. I will have the await fetch, and our API is API slash search. So if we go here, API slash search. Okay, then we need to pass the object where we will have the method. So let me have the method as post. We're going to have the headers. Let me have the header as content type, and this is going to be application slash JSON. Then we need to pass our body. So let me have the body, and we're going to pass the body as JSON stringify, and we're going to have our query here. Okay, so this is our API call, and once we have it, then we're going to get the data. We are going to have the await response dot JSON. Then we can just set this data into our set products. So we're going to have the set products, and I'm going to have the data here. Okay, and if there is any error, then what we will do is we are going to have a console dot error, and let's have the console error. So I'm going to have the failed to fetch products. Okay, I can just console the error as this one. Then what I can do is I can also have a finally. So I will have a finally here, and in the finally I can have my set loader as false now. So I will have the set loader as false. So finally is anyway going to run whether it's a try block or a catch block. Finally is going to run for both of it. Okay, so we have this one. Let's have the loading part. So here what I will do is I'm going to have the if products dot length. Okay, so if the products dot length is, if there are no products, we don't have any length, then in that case what we will do is we are simply going to return a JSX. So I'm going to have a paragraph tag, and here I will have no products found, try different search term. We can also have it for the loading screen. So what I will do is that if loading is true, then what we need to return is we are going to return a div and we are going to have dot loading, and I can also give some class names to it. So what I will do is I'm going to have a class name here, and it will be text gray 500, text center, and margin top as 5. All right, so we are done with this. We need to return some JSX here. So I will just do a simple copy paste of the JSX because this is not so focused topic. So I will just do like this, where we are going to get the products in our state variable, and we are just going to pass the individual product to a product cart. Let's create a product card component. So I'm going to create a new file. I will have the product card.tsx. I will have here rsc, and now I'm going to use this product card here. So I will have the product card. All right, and this product card is, oops, this should be okay, so I made a mistake. Product card is accepting a prop which is a product, so we need to write that one. So if I come here and let me go to the product card, and here what I will do is I will simply do a copy paste because this is just a purely display component. So I can just go give a walkthrough of it. So here you can see that we have a next image and a link. It's a client component. Product is accepted as a prop because we are passing the product here. Now we are just displaying this information in a beautiful way. We have a link for the product, we have an image of a product, and then we have a product is in stock or not, all the different values that we have in our data, like this one, in stock, out of stock, and everything. So that is all we are displaying it here: product details, rating, price, colors, and everything. All right, I will save it. Now if we want to give a try, what we can do is we can go back to our browser. I can go back here, and if I refresh it, so let me first refresh it, then we see that we have an error, and the error is that ECMAScript file had an error. Product grid says that you're importing a component that needs use effect. The React hook only works in a client component, and that's true. We need to make this product grid component as a client component. All right, so if I go here and if I go here, then let's make it as a client component. So I'm going to have the use client, because when you don't put anything here, by default it becomes a server component. All right, so we have the loading here. Now the loading should be in the center. So what I can do is for the loading, if I go here, then I can just use this one. So I'm going to copy, or maybe I can use all this three. So I will copy and I'm going to put it here as a class name. Okay, so now loading, and we see that no products found. All right, now if I go to the inspect element, and if I go to the network tab, and let me search something. So what I will do is I will try to find some waterproof shoes, and I hit enter, and you see that the search API is getting called. Now the search API is getting called. I get a 200 here as well, but there is some problem. So what the problem is, if I go and check the response, you see I also get the response as well from my API. So it's just that I am making some mistakes while displaying, and here what I can see is invalid source prop, and that has something issue with the image, next image. So I can go and check. So what I can do is I can go back here, and if I go to the product cards, we see that this source has some issue if you are using this next image. Okay, so here you can see that this next image hostname, this is not configured under images in your next config. So if you are using an image from your this file, which is the asset file or public this one, then it's fine, you don't need to have any configuration. But if your images are from some other sources, then in that case you need to add that in the next config. So this is the next config, and here we are going to add all the sources of the images that we have. So what I will do is I'm going to go here. I will have the images. Now in the images we need to have the domains. So let me have the domains, and this is going to be an array. Now I can define all the domains that we have for my data. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to add it here. All right, and now if I go back here and if I hit enter, then you see we have a loading, and we still see that no products found. So if I go here, we see that is an internal server error. All right, let me find some comfortable running shoes, and if I hit enter, then you see that we get the shoes. So if I go here and let me zoom out a little bit, all right, then you see that we have all the comfortable running shoes. So this is a running shoes, this is a running shoe. So the query matches the most matchable vector for a running shoes, which is these two, and it will give all the other products. Now instead of this, let me query something. I want a casual lifestyle shoes. Let's say this is a casual shoe which we wear, this is a casual shoe. So I can type casual shoes for lifestyle. then you see that the search results get changed, because with this semantic text, the more meaningful results are these two shoes. Let's say I want to do something mountain and waterproof. So I need a mountain and waterproof shoes. Then you see the query results are getting changed. So that's how you do a semantic search. Your results get changed based on the meaning it generates. And you will see that the results that are less relevant to the query are at the bottom. So we can also have the training shoes. So if I want to do a training shoes, so even though I have misspelled it, but it will try to find the meaning, because that's how the model has been trained on our data sets. It is able to give me the result for this Nike Metcon. Now, if you want to deploy this application on a Vercel, it's very easy. I can just give you a walkthrough how you can deploy this application on a Vercel. Now, in order to deploy it, first we need to have some configurations in our next config for the Vercel. So what I can do is I will come here and I will have the server runtime config, and I need a Pinecone here, and here I will give the API key. So I will have the API key, and this will be process.env.pinecone underscore API key. Okay, so this is for the server runtime config, and I will also give the public runtime config. So let me have the public runtime config, and this is going to be an HF token, which is going to be equals to process.env.hf underscore token. So this settings we have done it. Now if we want to deploy it on a Vercel, what we can do is I will come here and I will exit this. All right, I will just do a clear, then I will go back to my root directory, cd, I will go cd, I will go cd, and this is my project root directory. Now next what you can do is you need to install the Vercel first. So you can install like npm install -g Vercel, and if you don't have a proper permissions, then you can just use the sudo. All right, for me I have already installed it, so I'm not going to install it again. I will just do a Vercel login first. So I'm going to have the Vercel login, and before that what I will do is I will also create a one more .env file for the prod. I will just do a copy and paste. So I'm going to do copy, I'm going to do a paste of it. So, and I'm going to simply rename it. So what I will do is I'm going to rename it as .env.prod. So I'm going to do Vercel login, and I will log in with the GitHub. All right, and you see that I have logged in successfully. Now what I will do is I'm going to first go and have the Vercel -prod. All right, so this is going to set up and deploy. Yes, then which scope project? So I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to hit link to existing product. No. What's your project name? I will just keep it as it is. In which directory your code is located, I will keep it as it is. And then want to modify these settings, I'm going to go no. All right, and want to use the default deployment production setting, I'm going to use the yes. So it is going to do all the build and everything, so it's going to take some time. So let's wait for it. So now you can see that our code is compiled successfully, and now it's generating all the static files and everything. Also, this is not a clean way, because what we have done is we have used the .env.local, which should not be the case for the production application. But for just learning purpose, it's fine. We can just have it like this. All right, so now you see the created build cache and everything is deployed. Now if we want to go and check, then what we can do is we can just go to this link. So I'm going to copy, let's go to the browser. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to hit, and we see that we see the search products, and we see no products for this category. If we go to the inspect element, if we go to this network, and if we try to search something, let's try to run running shoes, and if I hit enter, let's see what happens. So we see we get a 200, and we see the internal server error. So maybe one thing we need to do is let me open the Vercel on the browser. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to open the Vercel here. All right, so this is our project. Now if we go on this project, then we need to give one thing. We need to give some environment variables, because it was not able to take them automatically from the file. So what I can do is I'm going to go to the settings. Then in the settings, if I go to the environment variables, then here we can just add the environment variables. So what I can do is I can go here, and I can add all the keys. So I can add this one. All right, I can add the value. So I can also add the index. I can add another one. I can add the embedding, and then I can add the other one, which is the HF token. All right, so you can add all the environment variables and their corresponding values. All right, I have added all the values. Now when I added these values, you can see here that it asked me a redeploy. You can also put your own values and you can just click on the redeploy, and this is going to redeploy the application. So I'm going to click on the redeploy and I will just wait here. So I can click on the view deployment and the deployment is in process. These are the build logs. Let's wait for it. Okay, so it is creating an optimized production build. We can see the code is compiled successfully. It's injecting the .env.local, which is a bad thing to do it. Okay, so build completed in the Vercel output. So deploying outputs. So here we can see that we have all the static files and functions, and here you can see that you have the Vercel app. So if I click on it, then this is how it looks like. If I go to the inspect, if I go to the network tab, and if I search for the comfortable or maybe running shoes, and if I hit enter, then you see we get the products, and it will be the same products which we were getting it on our local, which was this one. So let's say training shoes. So I'm going to go here and I will have the training shoes. So it's going to give the training shoes first. Let's have the waterproof shoes. So it's going to give me all the results that are based on waterproof and mountain tracking. So now you see that these two shoes are for the mountain tracking. So that was a very fun project. There was a lot of learning, especially with the vector embeddings and the models and the vector database. So I hope you like this project. You can just enhance more features to it and you can just add the more training data set. For me, I just added the 8 products because the essence was to get the understanding of how to make the vector embeddings and how to do the semantic search, but you can just extend it as you want. So that's all I have in this video. I hope you like this video. A thumbs up is appreciated. You can also connect with me via Facebook or Instagram. You can follow me on Twitter for latest updates. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe the channel and press the bell icon so that you don't miss the videos like this one. Thank you. Thanks for watching.